I was so hopeful that a mixed race woman married to a Jewish guy could be elected president of this country. And I think that it had nothing to do with policy. I think this was a referendum of cultural resentment in this country.
Was it though? All right, well, as you just watched, Bakari Sellers, David Axelrod, who had clarity before the election but seems to have lost that clarity after the election, Joy Reid, Sunny Hostin, they're all blaming Kamala Harris's loss on the character of the American electorate. And I think that's a big mistake.
In today's video, Anna Kasparian drops a blistering truth bomb on The View's woke spin over a possible Donald Trump comeback. And she doesn't hold back for a second. She shreds their dramatic reactions, calling out the bias, the exaggerations, and the fear-fueled narratives that have become the bread and butter of mainstream media. With razor-sharp precision, Kasparian dismantles their talking points one by one, exposing the hypocrisy and hollow arguments hiding beneath their outrage. If you're done with the endless woke filter on Trump coverage and want unapologetic, fact-driven analysis that cuts straight through the noise, this is the takedown you've been waiting for.
This is the second time that Democrats bet the House on white women. And
there were appeals to racism in this campaign, and there is racial bias in this country, and there is sexism in this country. And anybody who thinks that that did not in any way impact on the outcome.
I was so hopeful that a mixed race woman married to a Jewish guy could be elected president of this country. And I think that it had nothing to do with policy. I think this was a referendum of cultural resentment in this country.
Was it though? All right, well, as you just watched, Bakari Sellers, David Axelrod, who had clarity before the election but seems to have lost that clarity after the election, Joy Reid, Sunny Hostin, they're all blaming Kamala Harris's loss on the character of the American electorate. And I think that's a big mistake. Because when you do that, number one, it's bad analysis and it's incredibly lazy. But number two, it only works to shield or provide cover for the mistakes that the Democratic Party has been making.
Anna Kasparian is calling foul on the media's latest scapegoat, pinning Kamala Harris's defeat on white women. She says it's not just wrong. It's a deliberate dodge from addressing the real issues, like the Democratic Party's chronic policy failures and the political roadblocks a Republican-controlled Congress would pose to any meaningful change. Reducing Harris's loss to identity politics isn't just lazy. It's a smokescreen to avoid talking about why voters are walking away. Kasparian warns this divisive blame game keeps the Democrats from facing the hard truth. They've failed to connect with voters on a real, populist, kitchen table level.
Voted against their reproductive health freedoms, and why do you think Latino men voted in favor of someone that's going to deport, says he's going to deport the majority of his community?
I don't think white women like being called uneducated white women. I think the economy matters, national security matters. But when you put people in these boxes, I think that's a takeaway from this race.
We have to look at the demographics.
Also, I think it's worth noting that, you know, there are some red states that attempted to ban abortion or severely restrict abortion, but the people in those states voted in favor of ballot initiatives to legalize abortion, to reverse the negative impact of the reversal of Roe v. Wade. So saying that people are voting against their best interests kind of doesn't make sense when it comes to the reproductive rights issue, because what was Kamala Harris supposed to do? She was going, like, let's say she got elected. She would have come into office with a Senate controlled by Republicans. And I don't know, has it already been determined? Have Democrats lost the House?
Yeah, almost certainly.
Okay, so basically a Republican-controlled Congress. How the hell was she supposed to pass or codify reproductive rights on a national level? It wasn't going to happen. And it wouldn't have happened if Democrats had control of the House or even a slim majority in the Senate. It just wasn't going to happen. She's not going to steamroll the Senate filibuster, which requires 60 votes in order to pass legislation. It wasn't going to happen. So, like, I think what Alyssa Farah Griffin said there, and I never thought I would say this, but she's right. She's right. And I also think there's an issue with the way, like, liberals feel free to just demonize white people in general, right? Like it turns people off. And if they're constantly told over and over again that they're the enemy, they're everything that's wrong with this country, every bad thing that's happened here is because of, the white European settlers and the white people who were here. Like if one party is telling them they're the bad guys and they're not wanted and they're the root of every problem in the country, do you think that part of the electorate is going to vote for you?
Kasparian takes a direct swing at The View's relentless obsession with identity politics, blasting it as a shallow sideshow that dodges real conversations about policy. She points out that scapegoating certain groups does nothing to solve the reasons voters turn their backs on establishment candidates. It only deepens the divide and drives more people toward voices outside the political mainstream.
But if you think that's the main reason that she lost, you've misdiagnosed the problem. The main reason she lost is because Democrats don't deliver and they run establishment campaigns and not populist campaigns. And this is so stark because there's only two people in the country among the politicians that have run as populists. One is a fake populist, Donald Trump. One's a real populist, that's Bernie Sanders, right? And both of them had miraculous runs. And the media acknowledges, oh my God, we thought Bernie was a joke. We thought he was going to get 1% against Hillary Clinton. He got 48%, nearly won the whole damn thing. And in 2020, he won the first 3 primary states. Oh my God, that's amazing, right? Donald Trump in this miraculous political comeback wins a second time. Those are the only 2 people that have ever run as populists in my lifetime for president. And they both did spectacularly well. Every establishment, Republican and Democrat that runs gets clowned, right? But they can't figure, they're like, oh, no, that's not it. And remember, Bernie's on the left, Trump's on the right. So it's not even a left-right thing. It's definitely not a racial thing. Bernie's terrific on race. Trump's terrible on race. But they both won. Oh, I'm sorry, Bernie didn't win ultimately, but he had a miraculous rise up in the polls. And so if you're looking at it in an unbiased way, clearly the American people are saying, we don't like the elitism. Mm-hmm. And then here's a bunch of elites on television who are almost all millionaires telling you it's your fault and it's uneducated white women's fault. Okay, that leads to problem number 2, which is what Anna was talking about. If you keep insulting, by the way, not only some people, which they won't go free, but also the majority of people in this country. You think that's a good political strategy to say to 3/4 of the country that's white, you guys are the problem. It's your fault we lost. And it's your fault for being so uneducated and so white.
Anna Kasparian and S. Uyghur push back hard on the idea that Kamala Harris's political troubles boil down to voter bias. They argue there's a much bigger problem: deep-rooted political elitism and a widening gulf between Democratic leaders and the working-class Americans they claim to represent. By constantly framing every political loss in terms of race or gender, the media ignores the real reason for voter frustration: a political establishment that feels more like a distant ruling class than public servants.
Like in the beginning, Sunny Hostin was talking about, a black woman and with a Jewish husband. I had this, like, wait, are you saying that, like, Jewish people can't do well in this country in politics? Because there's that stereotype also exists. What are you talking about? Bernie Sanders, again, legendary in how well he did. Jamie Raskin, one of the most popular figures in politics. And Josh Shapiro, an incredibly successful and popular governor in Pennsylvania. What are you guys talking about? It doesn't have anything to do with them being Jewish or black or anything like that. It has to do with the substance of their campaigns. But people on TV hate substance.
Yeah, it's lazy politics. It's boring, lazy, dumb politics. Okay, so could it be any black woman? Can it be Candace Owens? If Candace Owens is running for president, do we have to support her because we need to elect a black woman? Like, what does she stand for? What does she represent? Is she going to serve the best interests for the electorate? Like, what are we talking about here? And look, I think the biggest problem is that when it comes to the field of journalism, it used to be dominated by working class people, okay? A lot of them didn't even get a college degree, right? You didn't need a college degree to be a journalist. But now journalism is dominated by wealthy, Ivy League educated individuals who live nice, cushy, comfortable lives and are kind of detached from the realities that the electorate has to deal with. And so when you're that comfortable, I'm just going to keep it real, you're really less concerned about the policy and more concerned about like the optics, and like you treat politics like it's just a fun sports thing, right? Like, oh, I want my team to win. But you get to have these luxury beliefs, okay, where the content of the campaign doesn't really matter. What the candidate is promising to do for the American people doesn't really matter. It just makes you feel good to see a biracial woman with a Jewish husband in the White House, and that reigns supreme in your world. No, most people are worried about other things.
Kasparian calls out the woke wing of mainstream media for championing divisive narratives that pit Americans against each other instead of bringing them together. She warns that vilifying huge portions of the population doesn't inspire progress. It fuels resentment. And that resentment, it's exactly what pushes voters toward populist candidates who market themselves as fighters for the people against a smug, disconnected media elite. According to Kasparian, this type of elitist messaging is political self-sabotage in real time.
People want to see their quality of life increase, improve, and that hasn't been happening for a lot of Americans, and they're angry. Okay, yes, there's a level of wanting to retaliate against the establishment politicians, and Donald Trump is the perfect figure to utilize for that retaliation. And I think that there's a lot of that going on.
Oh, 100%. We had Dan Holloway, who was a conservative from Drinking Bros, but he's not your old school conservative, right? He's a right-wing populist, and he had a great analogy. He said, "We know he's a bull in a china shop, but we hate the china shop. That's why we sent in the bull," right? And the china shop they're referring to is the establishment, corruption, etc. Now, Trump does his own corruption, and while he's in that china shop, he goes to the wrong part and tries to destroy the Constitution too. We know that, but at the same time, that is part of the reason why he won. You got to understand that. But when I was talking about the glitch in the Matrix, the Cheneys are a perfect example, because these same actors, just a little while ago, were telling you how awful and terrible and evil Dick and Liz Cheney were. But now that we're in Act 3 of the play, they've now turned around 100% and telling you about that same crew. The View said Liz Cheney had incredible moral courage.
She had a wonderful moral core. That was the phrase used by Whoopi Goldberg in particular. And she was talking about how, she would like to see Liz Cheney be Kamala Harris's attorney general. I mean, Whoopi Goldberg might have cost Kamala Harris the election. Let's keep it real.
Okay, no, that's not, but it's too small a part. But so, guys, back then they said torture was terrible. I can't believe the CIA is doing torture. Dick Cheney started that program at the CIA. Today, fast forward, and Whoopi Goldberg saying in that same episode that Liz Cheney maybe should be the head of the CIA. So which one is it?
In this clip, Ana Kasparian's patience with left-wing media's woke priorities finally snaps. She rips into their obsession with symbolic identity gestures, arguing that it's replaced any meaningful conversation about the real issues: economic security, healthcare, and national safety. Her warning to the Democratic Party is blunt: drop the hollow virtue signaling, focus on real policy that addresses everyday struggles, or keep losing voters to candidates who promise actual, tangible change.